Geraldo, on the tear gas situation, everybody is showing in the mainstream media this one image of the mom and the young girl fleeing. But what they're not showing is that they're surrounded by almost all men who had been, violently attacking and throwing things and taunting the Border Patrol. Do you think that's honest what the media is doing or dishonest?
I refuse to deal with this as a media issue because it's far too important. With all due respect, Jesse, this is something that goes to the very quick. This goes to my soul.
Right. But that's how the audience is consuming
fulfilling my role as the designated piñata on Fox News. I want to say
that's racist.
I am ashamed. This tear gas choked me. We treat these people, these economic refugees, as if they're zombies from The Walking Dead. I think we arrested 42 people. 8 of them were women with children. We have to deal with this problem humanely and with compassion. These are not invaders. Stop using these military analogies. This is absolutely painful to watch. We are a nation of immigrants. These are desperate people. They walk 2,000 miles. Why? Because they want to rape your daughter or steal your lunch? No, because they want a job. Well, they want to fill the millions of unfilled jobs we have in the agricultural sector. They want to wash dishes in the restaurants. They want to deliver the pizzas. For goodness sake, we suspend our humanity when it comes to this issue, and I fear that it is because they look different than the man.
Geraldo, can I respond? Because I understand what Geraldo is saying, but you cannot demean people for looking at this and seeing this as a violation of a process. I look at this and I see a bunch of good people being manipulated by a political group, an activist group. Now imagine if a group of activists hypnotized a bunch of people to rob a bank, to go in and rush the bank. It's not the security guard's fault that he has to protect the bank. And that's what they tried to do. The activists tried to create this conflict as a way to inflame society. This is what they're doing. I want to read this. This is the lead from the San Diego Union Tribune. A group of around 100 people trying to illegally cross the border Sunday near the San Ysidro port of entry threw rocks and bottles at the U.S. Border Patrol agents who then used pepper spray. This was November 25th, 2013. Right? 2013, 5 years ago, when President Obama was in power. Nobody seemed to care. Where is Obama and Biden and Clinton holding now? They approved of this. Here's the problem with this. They are playing upon the emotions of people. These may be good people. I agree.
You have the poorest people in the hemisphere living next door to the richest nation on earth.
There has to be a process.
Their children are hungry.
There has to be a process.
Of course there has to be a process, but we need a process that recognizes that they are part of our continent. We can pay attention to our neighbors, for goodness sake. How have we destabilized these governments over the decades? Look at the group.
Geraldo, you're going to bigger issues when we're just trying to talk about, a border.
This isn't a media story.
Geraldo, with all due respect, if you're going to be a good neighbor on one side of the border, you have to be a good neighbor on the other side of the border. And if you have people throwing rocks at our Border Patrol agents, hitting them, and there's about 100 of them kind of climbing the wall, taunting, trying to breach, and you only have 3 or 4 Border Patrol agents on the other side, de-escalation tactics call for you to disperse a little tear gas in order to de-escalate the situation. What they were doing was law enforcement 101. They're just trying to protect the integrity of the border. They're not doing anything illegal, Kennedy.
No.
The problem with that systemic approach, and I sympathize with people who are impatient because they have been following the process. Latin America has been absolutely screwed when it comes to immigration. There was the quotas, there was the racism that marked it for generations. They were excluded. There was no Ellis Island for Mexico or Central America. And remember, the huge chunks of our Southwest used to belong to Mexico, so they didn't cross over the border, some of them. The border crossed over them.
Can we give California back?
Not a bad idea. But my point is that these are the forgotten people. These are the people that before 9/11, that border was so open. I went to the University of Arizona, 60 miles from Nogales, Mexico. They came for the harvest, they went home. They came for the planting, they went home. They came for this job, they went home. There was a ebb and flow, a natural ebb and flow. Our GIs went to war, they came and filled the role of our GIs in the plants and so forth. There has to be a hemispheric or regional parlay where the president, and just one other thing I would say, and you know, I love the president, but George W. Bush had the tone that this Republican president could and should have on this issue. It is the feeling of compassion. It is the, okay, let's work this out. That these people aren't murderers, you know, they're hardened criminals, 500 of them are, you know, where do we get these facts from? These are the forgotten people. These are the people that before 9/11, that border was so open. I went to the University of Arizona, 60 miles from Nogales, Mexico. They came for the harvest, they went home. They came for the planting, they went home. They came for this job, they went home. There was a ebb and flow, a natural ebb and flow. Our GIs went to war, they came and filled the role of our GIs in the plants and so forth. There has to be a hemispheric or regional parlay where the president, and just one other thing I would say, and you know, I love the president, but George W. Bush had the tone that this Republican president could and should have on this issue. It is the feeling of compassion. It is the, okay, let's work this out. That these people aren't murderers, you know, they're hardened criminals, 500 of them are, you know, where do we get these facts from?
The people in the front of the caravan that did the assault, they give everybody in the back half a bad name. But Geraldo, before we go, you know, you talk a lot about the compassion for people, the forgotten men and women south of the border. This president ran on representing the forgotten men and women inside of the border, the U.S. citizens that feel like they've gotten, you know, the short end of the stick from these open border policies we've had for decades. So those are the people he's representing, not the people from the South.
I have no beef with that. I just want people to know that every survey indicates that these people commit fewer crimes than citizens. When they move into a neighborhood, the neighborhood becomes safer, not more dangerous. I just want, that's a fact.
It would help if they didn't, you know, act violent when they were coming in.
Well,